Це Вадим Красноокий, Медіацентр.
My name is Vadym Boichenko, Медіацентру Ukraine. I would like to welcome all of the journalists joining us to disseminate the truth about the most important developments in Ukraine. Every day we await any kind of hopeful tidings from Mariupol and Azovstal, the Azov Steelworks. With us today is Vadym Boichenko, Mayor of Mariupol. Pane Vadym, welcome. What is the situation in Mariupol and Azovstal today? The situation was and continues to be, unfortunately, extremely dire. After the two missions headed by the UN and the International Committee of the Red Cross took place, this mission was directly supervised by President Zelensky, for which we're grateful. And today we see that as soon as the mission ended, heavy fighting resumed. Unfortunately, the enemy's forces continue to attack our fortress. They use both land artillery and aviation, and we hear artillery shelling from the ships that have approached this fortress. Unfortunately, this is happening now, and so we have a very, very difficult, very dire situation. Has the evacuation of the civilians has been completed? Does this mean that there are no more civilians in Azovstal? What is your information? We're talking to our military, and in order to 100% confirm that the evacuation of the local population has ended, we have to have a reliable, we have to have a ceasefire, a clear ceasefire, so that we can go through all of the shelters and make sure that everyone has been evacuated. Unfortunately, we've had no such opportunity. We saw what the Russian forces did when the missile was hit. There was a multiple rocket launch, and unfortunately, it was clear that the ceasefire was starting. But unfortunately, these enemy forces killed 3 of our boys. 6 were wounded, and unfortunately, this happened when this mission started. So our heroes not only defend, they also save lives and they often paying the ultimate price, paying with their own lives. And so we have to understand that it is only when we have a clear ceasefire, it was only then that we can answer this question, whether the civilians have all been evacuated or not. There are some estimates according to which there still is civilian population waiting for evacuation. So through heroic efforts, we've managed to evacuate many civilians from Azovstal, but we cannot be certain that they have all been evacuated. As far as Mariupol, have people had the opportunity to leave in the direction of Ukraine? Unfortunately, we see that the evacuation missions that had been started and the sites for that we're supposed to take our people from Mariupol to join this mission. Again, the first mission had 50 buses, and these buses, unfortunately, at no point that was determined by the Russian military where did the buses stop. The buses did not stop, did not pick up people from our city that amassed there, were waiting for this evacuation. They stood there for 3 days, and unfortunately they never left to the Ukraine-controlled territory. So Russia determines and always continues to lie routinely and continues to fail to uphold the agreements it itself has agreed to. The second mission, the same thing happened, the same scenario. They used also many people gathered in the locations that had been announced next to the port city in Mariupol. People were awaiting evacuation. Many people on the ring, but unfortunately, the enemy didn't allow our people to get on the buses and leave into Ukraine-controlled territory. Unfortunately, not a single car was allowed to join the column. So today, like common terrorists, they keep people hostage in this ghetto that they've created. They have thrown Mariupol 70 years into the past. And today there was a yesterday there was a kind of a blood Sabbath in Mariupol. It was called the so-called parade, screaming hooray. What were they cheering? The murders of 20,000 people in Mariupol, just so that we understand that over the 2 years of the Second World War that touched Mariupol, over the 2 years of the blockade of Mariupol, Hitler killed 10,000 civilians in Mariupol. That's over 2 months. Over 2 months now, the Russian forces have killed over 20,000 peaceful people, and they're cheering on this, cheering the destruction and the killings in Mariupol, the women and the children that they have killed in the drama theater. The cynicism that we saw yesterday in Mariupol is dancing on the blood and the bones of the people that have recently been killed in Mariupol. Of course, this is horrible to observe and to hear. It is important also to hear from you that there are quite many Mariupol residents who would want to leave into Ukraine, but unfortunately, this is completely up to the enemy right now, and so we cannot state when this next opportunity might arise for them. Could you tell us, what happens to the residents of Mariupol after they leave the city? Obviously, people have been through hell, and obviously they need psychological, medical support, humanitarian aid in terms of some things like basic necessities, food, roof above their head. Is there any kind of centralized program that rehabilitates and resocializes residents of Mariupol, or who does this? So I wanted to add a little bit to the previous information that we have to prepare. We have to keep together, we have to not resign, and we have to continue to evacuate the local population that awaits this evacuation. They expect more green corridors, they await these announcements. And I would like to thank the president of Ukraine for who do everything they can to ensure these evacuations continue. Irina Vereshchuk, we have to understand that over 100,000 local population are still awaiting to have this opportunity to that they have the chance to save their lives. So I call on everyone to join their forces and not to give up in the face of this very difficult situation. As far as what we have today, we have now over 200,000 people that have been evacuated. They have been relocated in various cities of our country under Ukrainian control. We have created two centers for the support of family support centers where people from Mariupol are working for other people from Mariupol. The idea behind these centers is to help people with the social protection, legal aspects, providing information, restoring people's documents, the humanitarian aspect, primary medical care, and the possibility to receive some medications. We have psychologists working, children's psychologists, adult psychologists. We have a children's room so that people can leave, a kind of a daycare, people can leave their children and work on their own problems. So we've created such two centers in Dnipro and Zaporizhia. We're preparing to open a center like this in Vinnytsia and Kyiv, and also we're planning to open a center like this in somewhere. We plan to open about 12 of these. The main goal here is that aid reaches people from Mariupol, so that Mariupol don't have to waste time looking, but aid reaches them. And I would like to thank our international partners joining these efforts, and we have this partner that is supporting us very powerfully. They have funded the opening of 6 centers so far that we will open in various towns of our country. I'm glad to hear that this aid is being offered, that these centers are being opened, and that people from Mariupol are not abandoned to their fate, particularly considering what they've already been through. Could you tell us, Azovstal and our military right now, there's combat going on right now. Many have been wounded. Many of our heroes have been wounded. What are the chances of extracting them from there? Yes, we hear there are many calls to, all of the military from Azovstal must be evacuated, must be extracted. What could you say about this? I can only say so far that today President Zelensky is doing all that is possible to ensure that this happens, that everybody is evacuated. All the locals are evacuated, the wounded are evacuated, the doctors, and this is a lot of efforts are being put in that direction. I can't tell you more right now. Thank you. Could you tell us about the war crimes of Russians? How are they noted, and who is that information passed on to? So we have the mayor's office working on this. The city council is working on this. We note all of these crimes, and there have been numerous. We've had over 800 instances so far that we have confirmed. Then we pass them on to a regional attorney's office. Then all of that is accumulated in the general office of the attorney general. And then there's a separate case of Mariupol, both as genocide and war crimes by the Russian occupation forces. And these enemy forces have perpetrated in our city by destroying many social institutions, killed many people, and today we have residents who have already left the city and providing crucial testimony in terms of war crimes. We've had many such examples that you have heard, both the maternity ward in Mariupol that was destroyed by an enemy plane, and the drama theater where many people, many local population, women and children died. The first hospital where people were burned alive. Wounded residents of Mariupol were burned alive, and many other such a lot of other such testimony when a food supply was destroyed that was working to supply bomb shelters and student dormitories. We have had many such examples of war crimes by the Russian occupation authorities, and particularly the criminal in chief himself, Mr. Putin. So this work is continuing, is ongoing, and we will do our best. We will all fight, do our level best to see that all the criminals face justice for their crimes. Thank you, Pane Vadym, for finding the opportunity to be with us and for all the work that you're doing for Mariupol and for Ukraine. With us was Vadym Boichenko, Mayor of Mariupol. My name is Vadym Krasnooky. This is Media Center Ukraine.